Hey folks, walk with me. I have a podcast recommendation, or a YouTube podcast recommendation. If you go to a channel called Forrest Hansen, this is a person's name, Forrest Hansen, you'll find a playlist down there, a podcast called Be Well. And what I want to talk about today is an episode that I saw and something that stuck with me. In this episode, Forrest is joined by his father, who is, I think, like a neuroscientist and a psychologist, and he's often joined by his father. But his father in the episode mentions the idea that, a lot of people struggle in part because they have this idea of little self and big world. So you are this sort of like little old me character, and the big bad world is often coming to, push itself on you, to just do things to make life harder for you, right? But there's some sort of oppressive quality to this idea that there's little you and big bad world out there. And that can be very challenging, obviously. And what he said was, over time, you want to work to try to shift that as best you can. Little by little, again, this is over time. This isn't like okay, now I'm going to think differently. But as you notice it, as you can think about it, you want to really start thinking big self, small world. And it hit me really quickly after hearing this, actually, that, a way that this makes sense to me is that I've done a lot of work over the last many years, but especially in the past year or so, to try to enrich, cultivate, explore, deepen my experience for my inner world, for what's going on inside of me. Understand those things, really be with those things, and really spend a dominant time, a dominant number of hours of time inhabiting that space. And through enriching that and growing it, I do feel that is enormous in the sense of what I have in my inner world, what I contain, and what I can experience, and the time that I can spend there, just the sheer time, versus the outside world, which I can only experience whatever is in front of my face at the moment. So whatever it is that I can see, hear, touch, smell, go through your senses, right? Whatever it is that I can consume is a small piece of the entire world. But it's all that I really need to engage with or be concerned about, because I can only experience it in these small snippets, these little vignettes, if you will, versus this enormous, complex, deep inner world that I have access to any moment of any day. And it really made me think, oh wow, really expanding and opening up and going deeper into the inner world and deciding that that's predominantly where I'm living my life really provides this sense of big me, big self. And just having the realization, I think it's really skewed in the present day because we have access to anything at any moment via the internet, right? And so we can be totally bent out of shape about something that's going on across the state or across the country or across the world. And you can experience that to a limited extent by way of having it on a screen in front of you or something. But the real physical world, that you have to engage with, that's a selective choice, where you're making a choice to engage with those things online and really try to expand your, I don't know, the influence of the world on you by taking on more world than, the human was meant to. We weren't meant to know everything or have access to everything all the time. But if you just focus on the actual physical in-person capabilities that you have and what it is that you can influence and what it is that you can engage with in your actual real life, it is a tiny piece of the puzzle. I can probably see in front of me right now, because there's woods in front of me, but I could probably see in front of me, like, I don't know, 300 feet maybe. And I can do that, if I turn, but then I sort of lose that. So it's shifting, and I can only hear so far, hear so many things, and I can touch a very limited number of things at the moment. And so my experience of the world is small in relation to the world itself, but also in relation to the depth and the personalized way and the enriched way in which I can experience my inner world. That's really far, far beyond. The capacity is just so expansive that there's not really a comparison there. It's very much big me, little world in several different ways. So to the extent to which that's interesting or helpful to anyone, I thought I would share it. But however it does make sense to you, I think what he's saying there, Dr. Rick Hansen, is very true. Of over time wanting to try to shift your idea of big world, little me, and the big world always coming to oppress little me. Because that's a tough go, for sure. Alright folks, well if you watched along or walked with me, I really appreciate it. And as always, I will see you in the next video.